Welcome to the Codecast podcast. Real-world insights for your daily medical coding and billing processes. And now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Codecast podcast today. My name is Terry Fletcher. Hope everyone's doing well. Into March, we have some really nice weather. It's about 68 to 72 here in Southern California and very sunny after a couple of days of rain. So it's really nice, except the birds are really loud. But I guess we take the good with the loudness, right? So before we get started today, the Codecast podcast is also brought to you today by Select Coder. Get all the decision-making information you need to code in a single online resource. Select Coder offers you the comprehensive coding guidance required to code accurately and code your claims accurate the first time. Try Select Coder for free. Today, sign up at selectcoder.com/free. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, I've been getting a lot of questions, kind of interesting, about denials. And, a lot of times, depending on the specialty, all I have to do is take a quick glance at the report and then at the EOB, and I can tell right away what it is, especially if it's cardiology or gastro or ortho, one of my specialties. Euro. So I basically had a couple of those that I wanted to go over today because I think sometimes we get in a rush, sometimes we get busy, sometimes we get on autopilot. I mean, think about even just going to your local Starbucks or something, but that's not where you meant to go today. And you start driving there and you're like, that's not where I wanted to go. Well, sometimes we do that in coding and billing, where we basically start clickety-clacketing away on our computer, but we don't actually take the time and take the step back to make sure that the diagnoses that we're picking go with the right line item on the claim. We're just using what the doctor put in without checking to see what's in the report detail, or really making sure that that's a covered diagnosis. So perfect example is a question I got from one of my Coding Corner clients, and they said, Terry, we're getting a denial. They billed a heart cath, 93458. They billed the moderate sedation, 99152. They got paid on both of those, 26 modifier on the cath and 59. But they also did an intravascular ultrasound, and they also did a stent of the right coronary, 92928 and 37252. And they're just like, why are we not getting paid on this? So I looked at the report and I said, well, first of all, and they showed me what their diagnosis was, which was chest pain unspecified. So they got lucky that getting paid for a heart cath, usually even specified chest pain needs to be there, or something a little bit more specific, maybe with palpitations or shortness of breath, but you can get paid on that for the quick diagnostic. But as soon as you move on to treatment, whether it be therapeutic, whether it be a minor procedure or a major procedure, you have to have a definitive diagnosis to support medical necessity. And as I'm reading through this report, I saw that there was atherosclerosis, or better known as stenosis, of the right coronary artery. And I didn't see any mention of angina, so that would have been an I-25.10 ICD-10 code, and that was not listed as one of the codes that they used to report the service. And I said, well, that's why you're not getting paid. And so sometimes it can just be something as simple as that. You have to basically tell a story. So why did they come in? Okay. And what are you doing to work them up? E&M. What from that complaint of, did you order a diagnostic test? Is that covered? And then from that diagnostic test, what did you find that made you want to move forward with a more definitive treatment, therapeutic, minor surgery, major surgery, physical therapy, whatever? But you have to, it's called, basically in steps. You've got to work your way up for payment to make sure that you're getting things paid. It would be like a patient, let's switch to orthopedic, that came in and, their knee was hurting. And so they said, okay, well, we're going to maybe start you with a series of injections. And they said, okay, let's try that. Well, you do have some payers that will pay for right knee pain for injections, but some of them want osteoarthritis or some kind of arthritic situation going on. But let's just say you just kept that knee pain. Let's say you got lucky and you got paid for the E&M and you got paid for the right knee joint injection. But let's say then your doctor said, you know what, we took an x-ray and we found out that you've got a meniscal tear, and so we got to take you in for surgery because you also have some instability. But you still reported the knee pain instead of a meniscal tear of the right knee. That's where you're going to run into trouble by not, again, explaining, how did we get here? What did you do to get to the point where you needed to elevate the care to that point? Let's think general surgery. Patient comes in with breast pain. Okay, so that's your E&M. They're coming in with breast pain, but the doctor palpates a mass, palpates a lump in the right lower quadrant breast. Okay, now we've got two diagnoses, pain and a lump, but now they need to elevate the care to maybe a needle biopsy. So they need to use that mass, unspecified, because they don't know yet, to go in to do the biopsy. That's okay. Now from the biopsy, unfortunately, they found cancer cells. So now they need to take the patient in for, let's say, a lumpectomy or partial mastectomy. But think about this as you're building your case. If you just build the breast pain, if you just build the breast mass, no, you have to show why you are moving on with a higher level of care. Otherwise, the payers are going to deny it left and right for you. So it's important as coders, as billers, take a step back, take that time to make sure that you are understanding it's your responsibility and to take from what the physicians give you and build your case. If you don't feel you have enough, it's also your responsibility then to go back and read the report. I was actually having I don't want to call it a heated discussion, but it was a challenging discussion with a client saying that, well, the doctor puts the diagnosis at the beginning of the E&M, so I should be able to get it all. I said, well, as I'm auditing your chart, which is what you hired me for, the encounters, I'm finding that even though those diagnoses are listed, they're not being, and I'm air quoting, addressed throughout that encounter within that documented record. So just listing them isn't enough. You have to address them. You have to show medical necessity, and you have to make sure that when you are getting ready to bill or put this information into the computer, that you're linking the right diagnosis to the right line item. Think of GI. Okay, we're going to go all different specialties today. Let's say a patient's getting a screening colonoscopy. Okay, they're age appropriate, so it's a screening colonoscopy. But let's say something was found, a polyp was found, and let's say in the sigmoid colon, but you only had screening on there. Well, this turns into a therapeutic option. You need different modifiers, PT modifier. You need to make sure you have the, D5 diagnosis. You've got a lot of different things that come up. You went from a Z diagnosis to now a specific diagnosis. Now the Z diagnosis would be listed first to show it was a screening to make sure the patient gets, doesn't have to pay their deductible, but you still have to show the definitive diagnosis, again, linked to the specific surgical code. Otherwise, it won't get paid. So this is where a lot of times I think coders sometimes forget that. And I think billers sometimes just send it off or don't know what to do once it comes in. And it's really important that you read the report, that you cross-check it with what diagnoses were submitted on the claim. And if that's not something that you do, well, that's what our service is for. We do help with that on appeal, if an appeal would be necessary. And that's what we had to do. We had to say, okay, well, we're going to do an appeal, but first of all, you're going to do a rebill with the correct diagnosis. You're going to do a corrected claim. And then if you need an appeal after that, then we'll help you with that. But that was an incorrect claim because they didn't have all the diagnoses necessary to get that intervention on the coronary side paid with that heart cath. And it's tough too, because once an insurance company pays the lower valued procedure, if you try to even send a collected claim, I'm sure many of you have run up against that duplicate claim denial. I hate those. And it's just because they have it in their system. And now you've got to fight that, and that's cost money. So it's important, and I think the lesson for today is take a step back, take a breath, make sure that before it goes out, that you've linked it correctly, the right diagnoses are there, that the covered diagnoses are there, and if they're not, hopefully the patient has signed their waivers, and that you know that you've done everything you can to mitigate any kind of denial or lack of payment. And I think sometimes just a little more attention on the front end will help you on the back end. Okay, just a couple of, or I should say I have one, just personal tidbit today. And actually, I'm not sure this is personal. It's actually professional tidbit. So I am going to be teaching some telehealth webinars coming up. One for NSCHBC on the 26th of March, and then one on the 31st of March for McVeigh seminars. So I'm still waiting for some information. I have got some information. It's not great, but you want to be updated for what's going to happen on April 1st. So again, the 26th or the 31st, 2 different companies. Look on my website. And then also the Medicare first quarter update, one for NSC HBC on the 25th and one for McVeigh on the 25th too, at different times, of course. But make sure you're updated, because those first quarter Medicare, which will include some of the telehealth stuff, and then also for the telehealth webinars, those are so important. But also follow me on my other podcasts too. I participate in the Compliance Guy podcast with the 6 members that we have on there: Sean Weiss, Stephanie Allard, Christine Hall, Paul Spencer, and Scott. What is Scott's last name? I know it, and it's not coming up for me. Scott Kraft. Oh my gosh, of Doctors Management. And then also on the hashtag Terry Tuesday, where Sean and I every Tuesday give our 2 cents to things that are going on. Of course, then not next week though for Sean and I, because I will be in Napa. I will have my Codecast. I record it before I go, but that one will be missed. And just make sure that you check those out. You might like them. And also I host the NSC HBC Edge Business of Medicine podcast. So there's a few out there. If you're listening to podcasts, if you're interested in some more and you're not sick of me yet, I'm everywhere. Feel free to take a look at those and tell me what you think. Okay, everyone, make it a great day. Make it a great rest of your week. And thank you for listening to the Codecast podcast.
For more information on medical coding, billing, auditing, and compliance, including how to hire Terry, follow Terry on Twitter @TerryCoder1, or visit her website at www.terryfletcher.net. Podcast producer Joe Kuzma. Music producer Dassassin Music.